Cavin Elizabeth, your go-to for wedding content, advice, and inspiration. And today I have got a lot of very random but very important wedding tips for you throughout your wedding planning and on your wedding day. And I'm super excited to share these with you. If you are new here, make sure to subscribe. I post videos every Tuesday and I have a lot of them. So once you subscribe, you can go back and look through all of my wedding videos, and I have a couple of playlists you can check out too. So my first tip for you is if you have getting ready robes or silky pajamas or something like that, make sure they are steamed or wrinkle-free on the wedding morning. I cannot tell you how many weddings I have shown up to where they have beautiful robes, but they are so wrinkly and they look so bad in pictures. They could look so much better if they were wrinkle-free. I'm not going to show any photo examples of wrinkly robes on here because I do not want my clients to feel bad about them, but I will just show really pretty examples of steamed robes so that you can see how good they look when they are pristine. Some robes can just be thrown in a bra bag in the wash on delicate mode, and that is good enough, and then you can just get them out and hang them to dry, and then you don't have to steam them. Or if you have them and they're dry clean only and you don't want to do that, then just find a little steamer. You can find a really cheap steamer from Amazon. I will link one down below, and that is pretty much it for my first tip. My second tip is one that I know all hair and makeup artists will agree with me on, and that is to triple check with your bridesmaids who actually wants to get their hair and makeup done professionally, because there is nothing more chaotic than on the morning of the wedding when a bridesmaid suddenly decides and changes her mind that she all of a sudden wants to get her hair or makeup or both done on the wedding morning by the professionals, and then all of a sudden that makes the timeline delayed because now they have to add her into the schedule, and things can really run late because of that, and then your pictures run late, and that is the last thing that you want. So make sure that you tell your bridesmaids that they have to decide before the wedding begins, before the wedding day, who is going to have it done, and they cannot decide on the wedding day itself. So that is very, very important to keep in mind. The third tip is all about drama or family dynamics or even some disabilities. So when you are having your wedding photographer conversations, one thing, if they do not explicitly ask about it, which I do for all of my clients, is to tell your photographer about any difficult dynamics in your family. So think parental divorces or maybe even grandparent divorces, anything like that they will want to know about, so that during your family photos, they don't ask your divorced parents to stand next to each other and hold hands. You do not want that happening on the wedding day. So for example, I always ask my clients, are there any divorces I need to know about? And if so, are they okay with being in the same photo with each other, or do we need to take separate photos? Also, just in general, if I want to know about some family drama that's going on so that I can just be mentally prepared for it, to expect it if it goes down during the day, something like that is good to know. I have also had my clients tell me, I don't like so-and-so who's going to be there at my wedding. Please don't take very many pictures of them. That's really nice to know, so that I don't have a bunch of pictures of them in the final gallery and then my client's unhappy that I have all those photos because I didn't know that I wasn't supposed to take pictures of them. Also, I mentioned disabilities. So there could be something like autism with a child or maybe even adult. And so I am very thankful for my clients telling me about this ahead of time, so that when I am having everybody line up in the pictures, maybe there is a child who should be old enough to pay attention to me, or even an adult, and maybe they're not paying attention to me, they're not looking at the camera, they're not lining up like I asked them to, and I am wondering, why are they being so rude? Why aren't they listening to me? And if I know that they have severe autism, and this has happened to me a couple of times, then I know to expect that they are going to not be paying attention to my camera, and I know that that is okay. Nobody else expects them to, so it is all right. That is so nice for me to know, so that I can handle the situation appropriately and with care and tact. Please tell your photographer about anything they might need to know about in the family photos. And then my next tip for you guys is, when you are choosing your venue, and I'm going to make a video all about this very soon, make sure that you are considering your portrait location. So when you're looking at venues, take into account the backgrounds that you might have for pictures. Do you have only one nice background for pictures, and pictures are really important to you? Well, perhaps that's not the right venue for you. So that's one thing you really need to take into account when you're looking at different venues. If one venue has way more good portrait locations than the other, maybe that's the better venue for you if portraits are a really top priority for you. My next tip also again has to do with photography. So a lot of people know that they like a certain style of photography. So maybe you like light and airy photos, or maybe you like really dark and moody photos. So one thing you could possibly do to help yourself even further achieve that look is to keep the locations in mind. So for example, if you like light and airy photos, but you have chosen a dark church to get married in, and then you've chosen a dark venue to have your reception in, that is not really going to help you further achieve light and airy photos. Your photos are going to be a little bit on the darker side. Even if your photographer does shoot light and airy, if all of your backgrounds are dark, the photos can only look so light and airy. We can only do so much as photographers. So if that light and airy aesthetic is really important to you, perhaps you can choose more light backdrops for your venues, or maybe be outside as much as possible with lighter backgrounds. Being outside and having more natural light as opposed to being indoors, or perhaps choosing indoor venues that have a lot of natural light in them, that is going to further aid in having that light and airy aesthetic. On the flip side, if you want more moody photos, choose a getting ready location with darker backgrounds. Choose maybe an outdoor venue that has more foresty, darker backgrounds, and choose a reception location that just has darker backgrounds. That's going to help give you more of a moody background look. So you can choose things like that to really help your photographer further get into that aesthetic for your photos. And my next tip is when you go into your alterations, so this is really departing from photography, when you go into your wedding dress alterations, make sure, especially if you have a dress that is like silk or it's crepe, meaning it's that little stretchy plain fabric, anything that is not lace all over, especially take care of this. Do not wear face makeup to your alterations appointment if you can help it, or take it off before you go. If you touch your face and you touch your dress, there is a good chance you could transfer that makeup to your dress and it might not come out, or you have to really work hard to get that makeup out sometimes. Sometimes it leaves a ring behind. You just really do not want to risk transferring makeup to your face during your alterations appointment. So my highly recommended suggestion is to not wear face makeup to your alterations. All right, my next tip is not that vital at all, but it is one thing that I see that is just like, it just kills me. So wedding stationery is spelled with an E, not an A. Stationery with an A is like a stationary bike. You are staying still. Stationery has an E in it. You can remember that because stationery is often very elegant with an E, stationery with an E. I have seen even top wedding planners, top wedding blogs misspell it with an A. So if you've been misspelling it with an A, do not feel bad, because even really experienced wedding people have made this mistake. But I just want to let you know so that now you can spell it correctly with an E. Okay, so my next tip for you goes back to photography yet again, and this is really important if you love candid style wedding photos throughout your day to capture a genuine story. So one thing that I've seen, and I don't see it too often from my clients, is there are some people, especially like bridesmaids too, who whenever they see the photographer who is trying to capture candid cameras, they see the photographer and they immediately smile every time they see it, and that just kills me, because I'm like, no, ignore me, just do your thing. Don't like ham it up for the camera like a little kid who sees the camera because they've been taught camera means smile at the camera. Just ignore the camera. Let the camera capture genuine moments of you. You see it, you acknowledge it, go back to what you're doing. Don't just like freeze and smile. That's not like what you want to have captured, unless it is, and then go for it. Do whatever you want to do. But if you have hired your photographer and you love capturing that beautiful candid story throughout the day, just see it, ignore it, and go back to whatever you were doing. And you can tell your bridesmaids or whoever to ignore the camera throughout the day. I think that's such a beautiful thing when everybody just can let go of the camera and be themselves. So don't let the camera be a presence on your mind. Just ignore it and let it sink into the day. My last tip for you all, this was somebody requested a video about this, but I don't think I can make it long enough for a video, so it's just going to be my last and final tip, is how to find a good DJ or band. One thing that I think is really hard about finding a good DJ or a band is you can't always figure out how they are at the wedding. Band, I think, might be a little bit easier because maybe you find really good videos of them performing on their website or maybe even YouTube, but a DJ can be really hard because there aren't necessarily just videos of them DJing, and so you might not get a feel for how they host the evening. And so one thing I think is a really good way to figure out how to hire a good DJ in particular is to ask your photographer or ask your wedding planner for recommendations, because those are the two people that are there for the reception through the entire night, and they can really attest to how that DJ performs through the evening and what their style is like. Are they really on the mic all throughout the night, like really trying to play host, or are they more low-key and they just kind of make announcements as needed and then they DJ through the rest of the night? How is their DJ styling? Are they actually doing a lot of DJing, or are they pretty much just kind of playing like an iPod song back to back? So that's the kind of thing that you want to be asking your photographer or planner, because they're there, they've seen these DJs, and they can really tell you how their style is. So I hope you guys enjoy this miscellaneous just spattering of tips on this video. If you want more videos like this, let me know down in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!